Hello everybody, welcome to the sound test room. Today we are taking a look at a brand new synthesizer that's just came out from Cherry Audio. This is Yellowjacket. Clearly it's based upon the electronic dream plant Wasp that came out way back in the late 70s, 80s. So this will do exactly what the original Wasp did. In fact, if you want to be a complete purist here, under the keyboard section, just swap this down to mono and it will behave exactly like the original Wasp did. Everything will just be the same. You won't be able to play chords and stuff like that, but you will be able to do everything else. However, let's put this back into poly mode. With this being Cherry Audio, you have up to 16 voices of polyphony. And tons and tons and tons of other cool stuff as well. I mean, really loads of great stuff. The Wasp, it's a fabulous synthesizer. It has an amazing filter. It's a multi-mode filter with a low pass, band pass, notch, and high pass. We're going to design some really cool sounds. I'm going to play you a bunch of presets. I'm going to take you through the entire synth so you understand how everything works. You have a keyboard Aftertouch control here. So if your keyboard is equipped with Aftertouch, I'll just press a little bit harder on my key step keyboard here. And there you go, you've got your Aftertouch. You also have another page here. And if we go into ARP and effects up here, we have a load of effects. We have an Arpeggiator, a speaker effect, octafuzz phase, a flanger chorus, echo, reverb. And then you have effects out, and then you have your main output here as well. Okay, so there's loads of stuff you can do. Tons. You may see that you'll notice this little drop down arrow here. If you click on this, this is the different things you can assign to your Aftertouch. Okay, so you've got bunches of stuff, Unison, Detune, oscillators, stuff like that, flanger chorus. You can assign any of those things to the pressure control. You have a reverb mix here. You also have, you'll see that these kind of three little blank panels here are hidden. If you go into where it says on the keyboard controller, so you've got mono, unison, poly, cycle, and then you go into multi, you'll see that these three little modules appear here. And these will let you allow you to change the voices on a per voice level. And just as an example, if I put this onto something called cycle, you'll see that the first note I press here will be the first oscillator, then the second oscillator, third oscillator, and then the fourth, not oscillator, but the fourth voice in the polyphony. And this allows you to do cool stuff with each of the voices as well, but we'll get into that as we go along. Let's first of all just go back to poly and let's take just a look at the synth. So you have two oscillators here. Okay, so I'm going to turn, in fact, I'm going to leave it on for now. So you have two oscillators, a noise. You can have the oscillator footage control here. So I'm going to leave oscillator 2 on 16 and oscillator 1 on 8. Then you have you have three waveforms. Okay, so at the moment they're both on sawtooth, but we also have a square. In fact, we'll turn oscillator 2 down for that. And then you can use these pulse modulation controls to adjust the square. So the width, the pulse width, and then we have pulse width modulation. Okay, this one here, which is called enhanced, this is pulse width modulation, but it's at a fixed rate. So these won't do anything at all. Let's give this a little bit of release. The envelopes, by the way, are absolutely brilliant. It has some really clever features. The original Wasp had as well, some really, really neat features. Now, I also have a Behringer Wasp, and I can duplicate sounds identical. So I can program something on Behringer and then copy the programs, and it's just the same. In fact, I'm going to show you one very cool patch I like to do. That I did in my Behringer Wasp video. Okay, so there's your enhanced envelope. Let's put these back to saw and let's bring in Oscillator 2. So now you have your pitch control for Oscillator 2. So minus 10 semitones, plus 4. If you right click on here, you can edit the value like this. So say I wanted -7, I can just delete this, go -7, enter, and now it's -7 semitones, so we get a fifth. Let's listen to it with a square. So now you're getting that classic, you know, fifth lead kind of thing. Okay, epic. Let's just right click on this and go return to default value. Let's look at Unison before we carry on. Now, if you go into Unison, I would advise you turn your volume down, because what it is doing is now stacking, well, it's stacking 16 voices on top of each other here at the moment. So it's going to give a, you can see here, all 16 voices have been used. Let's drop this down a little bit so it's cool. So now we can detune those voices for that Buzzy V vibe. Let's drop that down as well. It sounds nice in the bass end. So you can dial that in. As you wish. Now, of course, we could reduce this to 4 voices. That's 8. So 4. Unison is obviously monophonic. 8 voices is going to be a bit louder, and you'll see it represented here in the main synth. And then back to 16 voices of polyphony in Unison mode. Which is really, really very cool. Awesome. It's so good. I love the Wasp. But Yellowjacket just takes it into, I'm not even kidding, a whole other dimension. Awesome stuff. Okay. So let's look at cycle. And like I said, this time you're not getting the extra voices, but you'll see that it is actually cycling through its voices here. This can be easily, right, so I'm going to go back to poly. And you can see the notes I'm playing on the keyboard here. Let's drop it down. So I'll play 4 notes, right? You'll see it's just polyphonic, it's playing 1 note. So this first note, the release is there, but if I play another note, the release gets cut off, right? And if I put this in cycle mode now, each note gets its own release. Now this becomes really, really useful when you're using the arpeggiator. And it's great for like really kind of shimmery. It's almost like having a sustain pedal pushed down on a piano, and we can control the release, of course. But just to remember, if we're in cycle mode, each note is going to get its own release, its own envelope control, and in poly mode, it's not. So I would suggest if you're playing really complex stuff, with lots of release, you can get some really nice effects. Okay, let's move quickly onto Unison, onto the multi-section now. And again, you've got Unison poly. I'm going to turn the volume down because we're 16 notes. Here's where this gets super cool. Let's just stick with Unison for a moment, and you'll see because we've gone into multi-mode, our other modules have opened up, and you'll see underneath, like we've got here, you see this little downward pointing arrow. We can assign our Aftertouch to all sorts of different things. If you click on these, you can even set these to be like chords, because what's happening, right? You'll see as I press a note, all of these are firing. We've got 16, so let me turn it down a bit more so I can explain this properly to you. So you've got 4 voices, 8 voices, 12 voices, 16, all 16 voices. But look, if I change the pitch of this and change the pitch of this, see what's happened there? Now, and this is because we're in unison, so everything's playing at the same time. We can also start to pan this stuff. So we have a pan here, so like say for voice 1. And what will happen is, as it goes round, it'll just reset itself to play the next available voice. So, but because we're in unison, all these voices are playing at the same time, right? Which is very cool. But we could say, well, I'm going to pan the main synth, and this is basically like having another 3 synthesizers, but with very limited control, only for pitch, pan, filter frequency, VCA attack, and VCA release, which will all be linked into this filter and this VCA. But let's pan this first one hard left, and let's pan this second voice hard right, then this third one hard left, and now we're going to get this super wide. Super wide sound. Which is just awesome. But then you can do other stuff as well. If we give it all some filter. We've got filter frequency here for each individual voice. We also have pitch, pan, velocity release. And then we haven't even started messing with our filter envelope yet, but you know, you can just really create some amazing leads really easily with using the multi-unison mode as well. Right, let's just reset this. I'm going to quickly build my patch that is a real test of the different things that the Yellowjacket can do, and Wasp did the same. I call this the weather patch. It is super simple to do. So I'm going to turn down oscillator 1, I'm going to turn down oscillator 2, I'm going to push the noise all the way up. I'm going to look at our control oscillator, which is an LFO, basically. Okay, so this is your LFO. And you'll also notice that everything can be synced. Anything that has like an LFO function can be synced. And I'll get into these envelope generators in a minute, right? Because they have some neat tricks. Noise signal, I'm going to set this to noise as the shape. We're not going to hear anything yet. I'm going to drag this down, push the filter control up, and now I'm going to use the control envelope as well for the filter. So I'm going to make sure that this is set on repeat. So drag it all the way down and it will be on repeat. And I'm going to give it an amount. Hear that? That's this repeating, and but that's not like wind or rain or noise, right? So what we need to do is bring up the decay, the speed, maybe even the attack. I'm going to bring the release up on this envelope. Bring this down a little bit. Now, it sounds like weather, right? It sounds like it's really windy. If I push this filter now all the way to the, you see it? We've got really fine control, but if I push it all the way up, we're going to get it. It's going to sound like rain. Maybe on a tent. And you can find a really cool balance between all this stuff. That's really nice. And if we wanted to get really cool and kind of eerie, what we can do is maybe put some plate on this. Now, all these filters, all these filter types will give you a different take on that weather sort of thing. So listen, we'll go to bandpass. Go to notch. And high pass kind of sounds like you're in the Arctic. I love that. I can't tell you. I just think that's great. I really do. I just love that. In fact, I did save a version of it. Let me see if I can find it. Going here into my user presets here. There we go. The weather machine. So if you want to copy that, you can, but I just think it's a really nice special effect. Right. Let's reset it, make a new patch. Let's look at these as well. So we've looked at this. Let's look at poly in multi-mode. You'll see as I'm playing chord, if I play a 4-note chord, first note, second, third. Let's go a bit bassy. Okay, but we can set these up to, it's almost, well, it's like playing a one note chord. If I open our little drop down for this, there are some patches that are already set up. If we go, well, look, Unison multi, I'm going to go with maybe a wide major on this one. Right, I'm going to go with a wide major on this and a, where are we at now? And a wide major. And if we're in unison, of course, you've got a chord. Let's set up some filter stuff with this little patch. Don't forget one on 16 voice, we could kind of calm that down. Okay, so let's give it a bit more. Give it some pitch mod. If we switch on our control oscillator, by the way, if we switch our control to mod wheel, then my mod wheel will control the pitch modulation. Some awesome stuff. So in this mode, this is literally just, if it's not on repeat, it's literally just going to function as a, let's put this onto repeat. Okay. So this is now acting like an LFO for the filter. And it's nothing to do with this. In fact, if I want to see if I can set this up now. So I'm going to sync. Let me turn this repeat off a sec. Oh, sorry. There we go. It's better. I still attached my mod wheel. Oh, that might be quite interesting, actually. Right, okay. Let's turn that off now. So, sync is on, right? Frequency 1/8 dotted there. Let's switch our repeat function back on. Switch sync on. See what's happening? This is synced at 1/8. This is synced at 1/16 dotted. But we can go further than this, right? We'll switch sync on for this because our main envelope also has this very cool repeat function. Now, we're not going to hear anything. There's no decay. So now you can set this at like a quarter dotted. It's just bonkers cool. And then you could go in and say, well, I'm going to switch my ARP on as well. And we can sync our ARP. So let's sync our ARP. Let's look at the speed of this now. Maybe, yeah. Now this, at the moment, is doing some quite complex sync modulation, and we're just in unison. Let's go to poly, play a chord. Let's go to cycle now. See how cool? And we've got our, don't forget we set this to a chord. But let's do this. Let's tap on this and let's reset the trimmers for this and this one. There is an option, I think, to reset all trimmers. In fact, if I right click, no, it's somewhere, I think. Anyway, neither in or there. Let's reset. So now got our glide as well. Okay, so this is set to cycle, so each note is getting its own envelope. Very cool. But you could then sort of say, well, okay, maybe I want this to be kind of, I don't know, well worn on this first one here, maybe varied voltage controlled amp on that, and I don't know, a hard pan slightly detuned. If you got headphones on. Okay, let's switch. This, you know, lift stuff off. So could you see the real power that you've got? It's just absolutely brilliant, the way they've sorted this out. Okay, let's take a look at, let's do this. Let's take a look at, you've got syncing as well. So both oscillators up at the moment. I'm going to put this one on a square. And what I'm going to do is turn oscillator sync on, and now this is hard sync to oscillator 1. So by detuning 2, we're syncing with oscillator 1. It's polyphonic, by the way. Awesome. And you know, you can choose which waveform sounds right for what you want to do. Let's take a look at glide. I will reset this so it goes onto poly. So glide is polyphonic, right, as well. So we've got the original Wasp did a weird thing with glide and its two oscillators. It glid them at slightly different. Glid them, is that a word? Glid? It glided at slightly, each oscillator glided at a very slightly different speed, which gives a very cool kind of. So you see, it's polyphonic glide. And then you can obviously set that to however you wish, anywhere up to half a second. Then you have your octave control. With the keyboard here, you can obviously choose a scale. So you could say, and you'll see keep an eye on this LED here. This is for the Aftertouch, right? And you watch as I bring this up. You can affect anything that you've got assigned to the Aftertouch. For example, let's look at pitch. So you can also do the same at volume. You can set velocity as well, but I just, for my personal taste, I like to have the original, like how the velocity worked, but you could set the velocity. Let's just reset that to its default. So you've got velocity control if you want it. And like I said, the very cool repeat function, because it goes really fast as well. So that's very CS80. That's insanely fast. And like I said, and we showed before, that can be synced, and you can do all sorts of interesting different things with syncing different oscillators. It's very, very cool. So I'm in poly mode now, obviously. Let's reset this. And let's make some sort of quick plucky type sound. Okay, so this is our sustain level. That's fine. That needs to be down. And I'm gonna make this. Well, I'm gonna leave it on poly. That's absolutely fine, because I just want to set something up for the effects sort of thing. Let's see. Give the volume a bit of a boost. Okay. That's nice. So what be nice, let's do poly. Let's make some tiny adjustments, just so it's a little bit more interesting. Nothing drastic. What's that? Yeah. So just a nice kind of brassy pluck. And let's switch our mod wheel on. I'm going to push my mod wheel all the way up on my keyboard. I know you can't see that, but I've just pushed the mod wheel all the way up. And I'm going to take it back down. So need a bit of release. Okay, that'll work. So look, let's go into our ARP and effects section. First of all, we have our arpeggiator. You've seen various uses of that during the course of the video. So if I switch it on, we have this is the order it's played. So or just your basic kind of ARP. And you have your range. You have random as well. If I play a big chord here. Okay, so now we have octave range. You also have your speed here. Now, again, your speed can be synced. It's off at the moment, so but it can be synced to the host tempo of the drawing. In my case, Cubase is synced on 120. We have swing. We have humanize. Let's open this gate or close it. We have humanize. This is going to play up out of time a little bit, but you can, if you give it a little bit, it's nice. Chance is cool. Chance adds probability to what notes will play. So you get this kind of random cool thing going on. Okay, that's the arpeggiator. It's easy to understand. Speaker. The original Wasp had a speaker, and in fact, just for the sake of this, I'm going to change the sound a titchy bit. It had a speaker, so look, we switch it on, we get this big speaker come down, and listen, we have hum and hiss. Hum, electrical hum, and you can have that in 50 hertz and I think that's 80, 50 and 80, or is it 50 and 60, I think, depending on what country you're in, I guess. And then you also have hiss, and it does change the sound as well. So let's have a little bit of hiss and a little bit of hiss. I'll turn it off. Here's the sound with the speaker. This is very cool. It just sounds like the speaker's been mic'd up. But we can, of course, if we just really dig that vibe, switch the hum and the hiss off. It really is a brilliant synth. Octofuzz. Right, let's turn it on. We have tube, fuzz, saturation, clean. Let's start with clean. So you know what you're on because it will be highlighted in red. See, saturation just hit there. So clean. You have Octofuzz, octave volume. No drive because it's clean. Tone control and your mix. And makeup gain. Nice with some cool bass effects. Yeah, it's nice. Then we have saturation. fuzz. You've got your dry. How cool is that? Tube. Mix. And then off. Phaser. I'm going to brighten up the filter now so we can hear the phaser. So turn it on, obviously. We have 4 stages of phaser. Sorry, that's sync I've just turned on. So a 4-stage phaser here. Speed, depth, resonance, very cool. Actually, very, very, very cool. I'm just going to push these both up an octave. So there's your phaser. Which is lovely. Very nice. Awesome stuff. In fact, let's set that ARP up like that. Let's go to cycle. So we get like a more shimmery kind of vibe. Okay, let's switch them out just for a sec. We also have a flanger and a chorus. So let's go with chorus first. You'll notice some of the controls like the delay and the resonance will disappear. And you have different shapes. Flanger, get it down. Now our resonance and our delay come back in. You have a master tune as well. Stereo expander. So that's your flanger in your chorus, like, you know, and then you have a delay. You have 3 types of delay: digital, tape, and ping pong. Let's listen to digital. Of course, it can be synced on or off. Will it self-oscillate? No, it won't. That's really good. You don't really want self-oscillating delays. Very bad for your hearing, speakers and everything, you know. Okay, let's look at tape and let's turn that drive down. So, digital, sorry, that was. Tape, got spread control, damping. That sounds like it might self-oscillate, the tape one. Let's make sure the digital one, I got that right, and it didn't. Good for, it's really good for Frippertronics if your echo doesn't self-oscillate. Because you can then just build like a looper. That's very, very cool. So digital is just very cool. It's not going to self-oscillate. So yeah, just like building up a looper. Ping pong. Obviously, it's ping pong. Super wide. And last but not least, we have, let's turn our echo off. We have reverb. So has Room Hall, Plate Spring and Cherry Audio's brilliantly huge Galactic reverb. Let's switch it on. Let's bring the mix up a bit. So this is your room. Hall, I'm leave mix where it is. You have high cut and low cut, so let's put the mix up so you can hear the and plate. Spring. We're going to hear spring better if I make some adjustments to the release and so with the reverb turned off, that's the sound. It's very, very short and stabby. Let's go back to the spring and does it drip? Yes, it does. Because that's what you want your spring reverb to sound like. Very good. Last but not least, we have Galactic. Galactic is huge. Okay, listen, I'm going to play lots of presets for 10 minutes now, because that is everything you need to know about the synth. Like I said, you can change the scales here. You can set your pitch bend amount up to 12 semitones, your pitch bend. I always like to have my pitch bend set on two semitones. Let me turn this off just for a sec and go and put some sustain up. So my pitch bend, but you can go all the way up to up and down 12. We've looked at the keyboard pressure. You can play around with that. It's literally as simple as choosing what you want that to control. You know, it's up to you. If you've watched this video premiere, thank you very, very much. Please strike the like, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a Patreon. Still got cool stuff going on here. I hope you enjoyed the video. I think Yellowjacket is absolutely, it's just marvelous. It really is great. If you're into synthesizers and want to mess around with, especially the kind of vintage stuff. I love the old vintage stuff, you know. That's my age. What I was brought up with. It's a no-brainer. I will put a link in the description below, of course. Lovely. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm just gonna play some. Let me just go to Yellowjacket presets, go to some pads. Let's start with this. And guys, I will see you later. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I really do.